Hello. So this is me doing some white box testing. I'll just be going through my code and sort of explaining what each part does. At the top, I have all my libraries that I use throughout my program. I'm not going to explain every single one, but it's mostly stuff for the main page, like the word tokenize and the NLTK. These are for the main text conversion page. JSON works with JSON files, and that's the thesaurus because it's stored in JSON format. This is also for text conversion page. This is also text conversion page. These are all text conversion page actually. This is for my font. This is for importing images. So when I have my program run, all the backgrounds and everything, they're all images. And this is for the images. And I can also use it for the font style because I have font styles as well. Date and time, this is for saving the date something was saved, a saved text. When a saved text was saved, it's stored in a database. This is simple dialog. This is for the text-to-speech buttons on the text conversion page. What else am I missing? Message box. This is for the error messages. Tkinter SQLite 3 is for my database. I said I wasn't going to go through them, but I did. Most of them are for the text conversion page and for, looking at words, how to change them, the synonyms and whatever, working out the difficulties of them, all that stuff. This is me setting up my GUI. So moving on to the classes, I have a class for every single page on my program. And the reason I use classes is because, it's much easier to work with than having lots of subroutines and they all do their own thing. If I have a class, I can have everything for that page stored in one big section, and it's much easier to call a whole class than, calling us different subroutines and stuff. So these are the subroutines that switch between pages. So I'm on a sign up page, I can switch to login page. And once the user logs in, I can switch to the text conversion page. This is just the backgrounds. There's nothing important here. All the images. This is my font. And there's two subroutines, which this is for, so hold on, I'm stumbling on my words. These two subroutines change the, what's it called? The placeholder text. So, when you load it up, it will say enter full name, but when you start typing, it'll start typing. And this is just the full name entry box, the same thing for the surname, with the placeholder subroutines here. Username, same thing. Password, also same thing. But the password does have a subroutine here, which toggles between the asterisk symbols and the actual password because it does hide it. And it basically uses, where is it? Here. So is the placeholder visible, which is, before they start typing. And once they start typing, I use this, which is a Boolean, and it's whether the password is visible or is it asterisk symbols. And then it uses it in here to check against it. If it's visible, then it turns it to true and to false, and it does all that. This check criteria is a big subroutine, which has all the criteria checks in here. So all the validation. This is the validation for the full name, surname, username, password, and once the sign up button is pressed, it calls this big subroutine. And at the end of it, I have this, which makes sure that all of the criteria is valid. So for the full name, surname, username, and password, it makes sure that all of them are correct. And then finally, it adds the data to the database. Then it sends the user to the text conversion page. Login page isn't much different. You have the two subroutines that switch between pages. It's also its own class, which is really easy to work with. All the backgrounds here. This is the username entry and the password entry. There's not much to talk about. It's the exact same as the sign up page. This is for the password toggle hide and show, so I can either hide the password or show the password. Check criteria, so this has all of the criteria checks in here. Does the exact same thing, checks if all of the criteria is correct. And here it gets the username from the database and says welcome back and then the username. Here is a little SQL query which gets the user ID and sends it to the text conversion page, because through the text conversion page you get to save text, and when you save your text it needs to know which user to save it to, so it needs the user ID. So now here the main, this is the text conversion page and it takes user ID as a parameter and it's used throughout. This is for the changing between pages, so I can log out and go back to the sign up page, login page, sorry, or I can go to the saves page, and this does SQL query which checks if the user has any saved text. So this is where it first uses the user ID. It checks if there are any saved texts for that user ID. If there are, then cool, it goes to the saves page. If not, then it tells you that there must be a saved text. That you must save text before you go into the saves page. This is just the backgrounds, all the images and stuff, navigation bar images, text-to-speech engine. This is the engine that does the text-to-speech. So when you want to read out loud text, it's just calling the engine, really. This is the font. This is original text placeholder text, so it tells you to input a text in an input box. This is the entry, so you can start typing in the input box. This is the text-to-speech, which calls the engine. Where is it? This is the engine up here, and this calls the engine, and it does the validation to make sure that there is text to read out loud. Then it does the output box. This is the same thing for the text-to-speech. It checks if it's empty, and then it calls the engine to actually read out loud. Then these subroutines here do the actual conversion. So you have this checks if it's a verb or a noun or whatever words need to be changed. This works out the difficulty of a word. This does the synonym search, so it looks through the thesaurus to find the correct synonyms. This chooses the best synonym, so it does a whole algorithm. It looks at the difficulty the user picked and selects a correct synonym. This is commented out because I forgot to remove it. I'll just remove it now. There we go. It's just another check, but it never gets used, so I just commented it out. But I forgot to delete it, so I deleted it now. This is the drop-down box displaying all the difficulties. Basically, what this is are the buttons visible? So the drop-down box, because of Tkinter, you can't customize what the drop-down box looks like. So I had to do different buttons, place them, and if you press the drop-down box, it displays those buttons. If you press it again, and it hides the buttons. So this is what this does. So it works like a drop-down box, but it's sort of just hiding and showing buttons when the drop-down box is pressed. This is what sorry. This is the whole algorithms, it uses these subroutines up here. But this is the main thing where that goes through the text, iterates through every single word. When it finds a word that needs to be changed, then it uses the subroutines up there to change the synonym. Now you have the modify. This is the modify button. And then this is the drop-down box and all the difficulties. This is for the sign up. No, sorry, the saves page. So it saves the text to the database, inserts it into the database. It also has the prompt for the name to title the saved text. And the same thing for download, it saves it as a text file here. This is the text file, and it uses the pop-up for the user to name the download. Finally, the class for saves page. This also takes a user ID as a parameter because it needs to know which user's text to display. So you have a login, yeah, you can log out, sends you back to login page or back to text conversion page. And it sends the user ID to the text conversion page because the user is there as well. This is just background stuff. All the images are used. Nothing important. This is the tree. So the tree is the actual table that displays the text. That's just what this does. This is the font, navigation bar. Now this is where we get into the main algorithm part. I explained all of this throughout my development. It just inserts into the table the correct text, SQL query to find out what text to insert. This is the next page, previous page, so this is the little buttons at the bottom that you use to go to the next page and previous page. This is the preview page, so it previews the text when the user wants to preview. This is for the download, for the unsave. These are all subroutines. And lastly, placing the buttons, so corresponding to how many texts are shown on the table, the right amount of buttons are pressed. This is just the images for the pagination system. So go to the previous page and next page to see more text on the table. And yeah, that's it. It loads up with the login page. So yeah, and then it closes it. Cool. These are just texts I used to use at the very start to convert them for the text conversion page. Yeah, I would copy and paste these into the text conversion page and modify them, see what's up, see if there's any changes to how it's modified once I worked on it. But yeah, as you saw, the comments are throughout my whole entire program. There's comments everywhere. There's red stuff everywhere. It's good. It's commented everywhere, which is good. It helped me talk about my code right now. So, I think it's pretty good. It's maintained really well. The comments are there. Everything uses subroutines, so it's good for debugging. I think everything is saved in its own class, which is really nice. Yeah, I think it's a job well done. That's about it. I don't know what else to say about it. I went through the entire thing. Yeah, goodbye.